Okay, so let's get right into it. We need to talk about a huge policy shift that's created a really dangerous situation for thousands of Louisiana's most vulnerable renters. I mean, what happens when a federal safety net just disappears and you're left facing one of the fastest eviction laws in the entire country?
For a long time, this number, 30, was a lifeline. 30 days. That was the rule. If you were in federally assisted housing and fell behind on rent, you had a month. A crucial window of time to get help, to scrape the money together, and hopefully stay in your home. Well, for a lot of those exact same people in Louisiana, this is their new reality. 5 days. The second they get that notice, a clock starts ticking on an eviction process that moves at a speed that is frankly just brutal.
And that, right there, is the core of this whole crisis. It's a tale of two timelines. You have the 30-day federal shield that was just yanked away, exposing tenants to Louisiana's incredibly harsh 5-day state law. It's this collision of policies that is having immediate, life-changing effects on people.
So, you're probably asking, how did this even happen? To really get the trap that's been set, we first have to understand the federal shield that literally just vanished into thin air.
What's so wild about this timeline is just how fast everything got reversed. So it starts in 2021 as a protection during the pandemic. By 2024, it's made into a permanent, finalized rule. Everyone thinks it's here to stay. But then, just a little over a year later, bam, February 2026, HUD issues this interim final rule to get rid of it. And by March, it was gone. A permanent rule erased in a flash.
And listen, this rule was so much more than just extra time. It was a real structured process. It guaranteed you'd get a written notice before a landlord could even think about filing in court. It gave you a legal chance to pay what you owed and stop the whole thing in its tracks. And crucially, it made landlords give you info on how to recertify your income, a huge deal if you just lost your job or your hours got cut.
The scale here is just staggering. We're not talking about a small number of people. According to HUD's own press release, this rollback affects over 2 million households across the entire country. 2 million.
And you better believe housing advocates saw the writing on the wall. The backlash was immediate. Groups like the National Low-Income Housing Coalition came out swinging, making it crystal clear that this wasn't some minor tweak. No, this was a massive policy change with potentially devastating results for real people.
Okay, so the federal protection is gone. Now what? Well, everything defaults to state law. And if you're in Louisiana, that means you're suddenly facing one of the most unforgiving eviction timelines anywhere in the United States.
And this is the law right here that makes it all possible. Louisiana Code of Civil Procedure 4701. It's written in black and white. A landlord gives a written notice to vacate, and the law says it has to be for not less than 5 days. That's it. For not paying rent, 5 days is all the time you're legally guaranteed.
And believe me, the process only speeds up from there. After those 5 short days, the landlord files in court. You could have a hearing scheduled just 3 days after that. And if the judge sides with the landlord, you get hit with the final step, a writ of possession.
And that writ gives you exactly 24 hours, 1 day. You have 1 day from that judge's order until the sheriff can legally show up and forcibly remove you and everything you own from your home. The speed is it's absolutely shocking. So let's connect the dots here. We've got this federal safety net that just disappeared, and we've got the razor-sharp edge of Louisiana's state law. This is where national policy and state law collide head-on.
And here's the bottom line. For all those federally assisted tenants in Louisiana, when that 30-day federal rule went away, they didn't land on some soft middle ground. Nope, they fell directly into the state's 5-day meat grinder. It's an all-or-nothing drop.
This chart really puts it into perspective, doesn't it? I mean, look at the difference. Tenants went from having a full 30 days of protection. Some in public housing now get 14 days. But for so many in Louisiana, the floor just dropped out from under them all the way down to a mere 5 days.
You have to understand, this isn't just a legal timeline. It's an impossible race against the clock. And it's especially impossible for the very people who rely on systems, for aid, for legal help, that just do not move this fast.
So let's just ask the question straight up. Is 5 days really enough time to stop yourself from becoming homeless? Because that's what we're talking about. Let's break down what a person would actually have to pull off in that tiny window.
Okay, first thing you'd want is a lawyer, right? But think about it. Can you realistically find a legal aid lawyer, prove you're eligible for their help, schedule an appointment, and get them to build a case for you, all in 5 days? In most places, especially rural or underserved areas, that's a hard no.
All right, what about money? Emergency rental assistance programs are absolute lifesavers, but they're not instant. They have applications. You need to provide documents. There's a verification process. The idea that you could get that money from an application into your landlord's hands in 5 days, it's just not how those systems work.
And this is a really important one. What about renters with disabilities? Under the Fair Housing Act, they have the right to ask for a reasonable accommodation, which could be something as simple as needing more time. But to do that, you have to formally document your disability and go through the proper channels. To expect someone to navigate that bureaucracy in a 5-day window, it's basically impossible.
All of this, it forces us to ask a much bigger question about the system as a whole. What is it actually designed to do? Is the goal to keep people housed and safe? Or is the priority something else entirely?
And if you look at HUD's own reasoning for the change, you can see this tension playing out. On one hand, they admitted that the 30-day notice gave tenants a longer runway. But on the other hand, they sided with property owners, saying it caused negative financial impacts and that evicting people faster would open up housing opportunities for others. It's an argument that basically pits vulnerable people against other vulnerable people.
But there is a potential solution being pushed right there in Louisiana. The Housing Reform Task Force is fighting for a new state law. They want to create a mandatory, statewide 30-day notice period for everyone to stop this horrifying cycle of rapid displacement. Which brings us to our final thought. When you have eviction laws that move so fast that a person can't possibly get a lawyer, can't get emergency funds, can't even exercise their disability rights, you really have to ask yourself, who is this system actually designed to protect? Is it about justice and due process? Or is it simply designed to prioritize speed and displacement above everything and everyone else?